Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Divas That Care Network. My name is Candace Gish, and I am the host of this show. Well, thank you so much for each and every one of you that has tuned in today. I have a fantastic brand new diva to our show. She is going to inspire you with her amazing story. I had the opportunity to chat with her quite a few months ago, and I was just excited. I couldn't wait to finally get her onto our show so that she can share with you and I can get to know her better myself. And so let's get started. Well, our amazing diva today, her name is Tracy, and she's going to be sharing her fantastic story. And I'm going to be saying it's Meyer, and but I was going to say, I'm going to say your last name incorrectly because that's what I do. I have a tendency to get all excited on our show, Tracy, and always make a mistake with a person's last name. But I think today I actually did it really good. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Candace. You just sound like a bundle of joy. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, well, we're excited to have you. And the reason why I'm excited to have you, because you're an amazing speaker and you're an author. But when you and I had the chance to chat quite a few months ago, you shared your story with me, and I just absolutely was blown away by it. So if you don't mind, could you spend a few minutes just introducing yourselves to our amazing listeners today?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I am Tracy Frank Meyer, and I'm the author of the award-winning story, Incompatible with Nature, A Mother's Story, which I'll get into in a minute. I live currently in Cologne, Germany. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington. And, I lived in Seattle until I was 28 years old, and as fates would have it, I went on a weekend vacation with my girlfriend, just a little jaunt to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, which is where I met my husband on the beach on the last day of my vacation. And he was from Germany, and we dated back and forth. I mean, as corny as it sounds, it was love at first sight. And so we dated back and forth for about a year. Yeah. And, so then, we got married in Seattle, and I moved to Germany, much to my parents' dismay. And, I didn't know anybody, and I didn't speak the language, but I packed up my bags, and I went over there. And so that's where I'm still living today.
Oh, I love it. And what an adventure in itself. I always tell our listeners, I feel like a gypsy, and I love to travel and do extremely cool things, right? But I listened to your story, and I'm like, you just picked up and you left. And I thought, wow, you go, girl, because that is crazy, but you've really immersed yourself into the culture there, and you're doing a lot of things over in Germany. So let's just talk about the thing. Well, before we dive into your book, because I really want to talk about it, tell us the things that you're involved in currently while you're over in Germany, because you're a part of some associations, which I find that are very fascinating, and a lot of people in North America might not know what they're about. Okay,
yeah, sure. Well, I've lived in Germany now 34 years. My son is 34 years old. And I'm no longer married to my son's father, which is another story. But by the time I'd left him, I'd been in Cologne for 28 years, and I'd built my life there, my friends, my everything. So I stayed, and I am now involved. I give a lot of my time to the Ronald McDonald House in Cologne, and also to the Parents Initiative for Children with Heart Disease. And I'm involved with these organizations because I really want to give back to this community, because when I was beginning my journey with my son with his heart disease, I had no one to support me, and I couldn't speak the language, and I was literally alone, I mean, my husband had to work all day, and there were no cell phones, and there were no, Google Translate and all of this kind of thing. So I was literally left alone. And so I'm very fortunate that I have the strength and the desire to want to reach out to support these families in a way that I couldn't have. And so I feel really blessed about that.
I love that, and I love those the organization you're involved in. I do have quite a few friends that are involved in the Ronald McDonald House here in Alberta, Canada. A lot of people are really involved in that, and so I love when people share those stories. So that's going to lead us into this amazing book that you have written. Can you share about that? And then people are going to understand why these charities, these causes are very important to you.
Sure. Okay. So my story began in 1984 when I left my family and moved to Germany, and I was 3 months pregnant. Helmut, my son's father, we were overjoyed because I was pregnant, and I was thrilled to be starting my new life and a family, and I was going to be a mom in this magical country, Germany. And so my pregnancy was totally uneventful. Everything was just fine, and I gave birth to Mark on November 30th, and so Christmas was right around the corner, right? So I gave birth with via a cesarean section because Mark's head was down, and at that time you had to stay in the hospital 12 days when you had a cesarean section at this particular hospital. So on the 12th, so I'm nursing and bonding and just over the moon, thrilled with joy that my baby's here with 10 fingers, 10 toes, and life is wonderful. And then on the day that we were scheduled to leave the hospital, the doctors told Helmut, they said, well, we've made an appointment for you at the University of Cologne Children's Pediatric hospital for a checkup. And I just thought, well, why do we have to go there? Everything's fine, the baby's wonderful. And I didn't want to go to this checkup. And then I thought, well, Tracy, maybe this is just the way of the German doctors making sure everything's fine. Just go, and then you'll have everything finished, and Christmas can come. So we go to the clinic the next day, the very next day, and that is when my life changed forever, Candace. We were in the waiting room. I'll never forget it as long as I live. Not in the waiting room, but in the room where the doctor was doing his investigation on Mark, and he was gliding the ultrasound sonder over Mark's chest. And after 30 minutes of not saying a word, and I was just scared to death, he finally looks at Helmut and he says, unfortunately, what I see isn't good. And I didn't understand German at the time. And he said in German, he said, was ich sehe ist leider nicht gut. And that's the first sentence that I really learned in Germany. It was just emblazoned in my heart and in my mind. And I remember grabbing Helmut, because Helmut slumped in his chair. And I said, Helmut, what did he say? And he looked at me and he whispered and he said, something's wrong. So we had to leave Mark in the hospital for them to make further tests, and one of those tests was going to be a heart catheterization, and I didn't even know what a heart catheterization was. I'd never even been in a hospital in my life outside of the time that I'd given birth to Mark. So I was in shock, and my hormones were raging, and my breasts were leaking because I'd been nursing, and I was truly just a wreck. So somehow we made it home that night, and the next day we went to the clinic, and we were told that the results of the catheterization were nothing less than horrifying. Mark had been born with only 2 chambers to his heart. In other words, only half of his heart. And also with heterotaxy syndrome, whereby the internal organs are arranged on the wrong side of the body. And it was as if he was speaking he was speaking another language, but when another doctor was called in who could speak some English and explained this to me, he could have well have been speaking Swahili, because I was just in shock. I mean, Mark looked beautiful, he looked healthy, but he was born with half of his heart. And then the professor, in his broken English, he looked at me and he said, because I was screaming and crying, and he cut me off and he said, the child is so ill he could die at any minute. He was born incompatible with nature. And I thought, incompatible with nature? How does one human being give birth to another human being incompatible with nature? And I thought, am I some kind of freak? I mean, everything about my womanhood and motherhood and my very spirit was crushed, And, so we had to leave Mark there in the hospital. And Candace, before I knew it, I was day after day after day was going by. And Mark didn't die and didn't die and didn't die, and but his oxygen levels remained low, and they didn't want to perform a surgery there because I really think they didn't know what to do. So through the help of my family, I found another doctor. Mark was 2 months and 7 days old. I found another doctor and got him to another clinic in Dusseldorf, which was about a 35, 40-minute Autobahn drive from where we were living. And this surgeon saved his life with the first palliative operation, which was called a Playlock Palsic shunt. So he had that at 2 months and 7 days, and then he had the next operation at 9 months. And his third operation, which was a Fontan, carried out in Boston when he was 9 years old. But my God, how I had to fight for these surgeries. I literally had to fight for my son's life. And today, he's 34 years old, loving his life, praise God. I mean, he flyboards, he skis. It's true. He's truly a medical miracle. And so that's why, and if I can inspire people to just never give up, that is my motto. Don't give up, regardless of what you're fighting for, And as you can tell, I get really worked up about this. This really is
I love it.
passion. Yeah.
Well, and Tracy, when I first listened to your story, I was absolutely inspired. Not a lot of people know of my story and the fact that my third daughter actually had heart problems, and I didn't know. And I had kind of gone through a little bit of a similar thing in the beginning with you. I had all these specialists in my room. I had a C-section with her, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And oh yeah, I'm a specialist. I'm a pediatric specialist, and your daughter she's got holes in her heart. And they kept on going on and on about this, and we had spent months and months and doing tests and tests over things. And thank goodness, the two of the holes had ended up growing in, so we didn't have to have surgery. But that was their thing, and they thought, okay, maybe tomorrow we're going to have a surgery. And it's one of those things that it's so shocking, we don't even know how to explain it, because you're just, what are you talking about? They're healthy, everything's fine. And, and you go through that. And to this day, my daughter, she's going to be 13 here. She's beautiful. She's very athletic sports, but it is something that I continually watch with her because, her heart is a thing, and it's something we have to still continue to monitor. But it is, it's one of those things that it grabs at you because you've been there in certain ways, and I always thank God that she didn't have to go through that. But your story is just so remarkable, and to know what you've done and how you've gone through that process is amazing. And this book that you wrote shares that, and you're inspiring others, because now you're going and you're speaking all over the world about this.
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm thrilled that your daughter is well. I'm really happy to hear that. Good grief. I mean, I so get it, really. And, I'm speaking about this, and the beautiful thing is that because of social media nowadays, I can really, because there's, for example, on Facebook, there's all kinds of cardiac portals where people are sharing their stories and asking for help, and what do you guys think about this? Have you ever heard about this? And, I can privately message people and tell them not to give up and to have faith, and people literally are reaching out to me and thanking me, I mean, it's such a beautiful thing. I'm so thankful that I can inspire moms and dads and adults not to give up the fight, and
yes, it's so important.
Indeed, and I'm thrilled because I've been invited to come to the World Pediatric Cardiology Congress in Dubai in September and speak before the doctors there. And so I'll have this wonderful opportunity, to inspire and make an impact on the doctors. I want to make sure that doctors, I know that they're doctors and they have a job, but a little bit of empathy goes a long way with us, heart warriors, I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's so huge, isn't it? When you're in a situation and you don't know what's going on, and because I had no idea what was going on. You had no idea what was going on, and nobody was explaining anything, and you're so scared. Yeah. And you just want somebody to be there to understand, to be, have that empathy that you're saying, to help you through that situation, because you and I were both there. He's like, well, we don't know if they're going to make it. And you're like, what? What are you talking about?
And you had, I'm like, then to add one, to take that one notch higher, I was dealing with all this in German, and I didn't speak the language. You know,
yeah.
and I would, when I would finally get the attention. Now this is when Mark was a kid, you know, I mean a baby, 2 months and 7 months, and but when we were in the ward for so long, and I would ask a nurse or a doctor, so now what is it with this, you know, and this is with a dictionary and not understanding the grammar at all, but just doing my best to make myself understood or understandable, and that's another sentence that I'll never forget. I would ask a question, and I'd already, because I was so thankful to have a nurse or a doctor's attention before they dashed off, I would already be thinking of my next question, so not concentrating on the question that I just asked and their answer. And so I would say, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? And they would say, well, I just explained it to you. And I was just like, God, doesn't anybody understand that I need some help here, you know? So, yes, doctors, if you're listening, please be empathetic with your patients, with your charges. We need it.
Well, and another great thing what you're sharing, too, with our listeners is that I know in the United States and in Germany and in Canada, you know, we have a lot of immigration and a lot of people that don't speak the language that they're coming into with these countries, right? And
yeah, sure.
And maybe realizing, okay, let's do something for these individuals. And you have that sympathy. I can hear it because you've been there. And for me, I didn't have that, but I'm very sympathetic to people that come in and it's like, okay, we have to figure this out. How can we make this easier so that we both have an understanding? I don't want to mess up here. So I was, you know, I'm very self-aware of that.
Yeah, that's great, really. That's just great. I mean, and it's so important, you know, and you got to just feel good at night when you go home and say, wow, you know, I had a little patience for somebody today. Even though I'm stressed and overworked, you know, I made somebody feel good, you know, and that's just so important. That's so important.
I love it. So you are not in Germany right now. They're probably thinking, well, she's from Germany. She's living in Germany. But you're back in Seattle right now. So tell us some of the things that you're doing, because you are a globetrotter. You travel all the time, but you spend a lot of time back in the United States. And so share with us the things that you're doing while you're back home.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's see. We had my mom's 87th birthday, which was wonderful, and then Mother's Day, which was fantastic. And then my niece graduated with honors from high school, so we were all thrilled about that. And, June 15th, it's going to be a wonderful day because I've been named the honorary chair for the Adult Congenital Heart Association Walk 1 for in 100, which is a walk that we're holding to raise funds for research for the Congenital Heart Disease Association, and walk 1 for 100 because 1 in 100 children is born with some kind of congenital heart disease. So, yes, I would love to get donations, and everybody can find it on my Facebook page, Tracy Frank Meyer. And, I'm looking forward to this. I've already exceeded my goal of $1,000, so I'm trying. I mean, no amount is too small. I'm just thankful and appreciative for everything because this is a wonderful cause. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
It is an amazing cause.
Yeah.
Oh,
really.
I love it. Good for you. Because
Thank you.
We'll definitely be posting that on our Facebook and our social media stuff because it's a great cause. Is this something that they do right across the United States also, or is this just happening in Seattle?
This one it's happening across the United States. I think there's 14 states where it's going to be happening. And fortunately, this one is in Seattle right at this time while I'm here. So I'm thrilled.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely share that information with all of our tribe today because I think it's a great cause and something that's dear to my heart also. So let's get it out there and share with as many people as we can.
Thank you, Candace. I so appreciate it. Really, I do.
This is amazing. And, you know, as I said, I was so inspired from your story that you shared. You are doing speaking engagements about this amazing book that you wrote about your family. How can our listeners get a hold of this book so that they can, get a copy and read it?
Yes, for sure. Well, first of all, it's available in English and in German. It was also a publisher picked it up in Germany. And you can get it on Amazon. I think that would be the easiest for everybody.
Perfect. And I'll put the link up on our social media too, because I think it's a great book. I think it's a way that we can support the things that you're doing. And it's an amazing story. You know, I've always been a person that really loves biographies and a person's journey. And that's what the Divas That Care is all about, is providing a platform for amazing women out there to share these stories that inspire and empower all of us. And, you know, Tracy, I'm just beyond excited that you took the time today to be on our show and to share this passion of yours with all of us.
Oh, girlie, thank you so much, and blessings to you for supporting and hosting and having the brains and wherewithal to come up with Divas That Care. That's really fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. And I hope, Tracy, that you come back on our show and share so many more amazing things that you're doing.
Thank you, Candace. I would love to, sweetie. And everybody have a great day out there.
Thank you so much. You have a fantastic day. And you know what? Thank you to all of our amazing listeners. It's because of you that we've continued to do this program for 9 years now. Our platform we've had so many amazing women on it. So make sure you go out there, you support these women. You can visit them at divasthatcare.com, and you can listen to all their shows, and all their programs have their links attached to it so that you can check them out and support everything that they're doing. So again, Tracy, thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of our listeners. I hope that each and every one of you has an amazing day and that you do something kind for somebody out there. Bye-bye. Until next time.
Thanks, Candace. Bye-bye.